know they're speaking to you in this language called legalese is you're contracting with them. And that makes you liable. Okay, so something that most of us have to do, whatever it is in our lives, we submit. Right? Submit in legalese means you bend to another's will. In other words, you've given up all your human rights. All of them. You submit. It's like you're being wrestled on the ground, someone's got your arm behind your back and they're going, submit to my will, and only my will. And you go, yeah, you submit. That's what it means. Application means you're begging. You're a beggar. And it's presumed you know what you're giving up in order to get what you're begging for. Right? And again, what you're giving up is your the name of human rights, or your human rights. Register means you're giving away whatever it is you're registering to whoever it is you're registering it with. Okay, so it's just, and it takes a while for this stuff to sink in, but if you get those three things, you submit an application to register, or normally when you get a job, that's what you're doing. Your car, for example, that you've registered, is not yours. It's owned by the DVLA. You've given it away. It's registered. Every time you're just a registered keeper. Your children, you register their births, you give them away. They're not yours anymore. That's why the social services can come and take them. They say, well, you're not looking after our property the way we want you to, so we're taking it away. That's our contract. You've registered with us. You register with the DVLA. The DVLA say, right, we're abiding by the 1988 Highway Code Act, which has got all those parking stuff and all these restrictions and spot fines for this and all the other stuff like that. You've contracted, you've given it away, that's your car. You've also registered your name, you've got joinder, and your address, and your date of birth, so you've contracted with them. And you get charged. You get charged for a breach of contract. When you go to buy something in a shop, you get charged, don't you? That's what we get, is you get charged. There's a penalty for what you pay, whether it's points on your license or whether you get fined. And you're charged for a breach of contract. That's what you're charged for. Doesn't matter whether there's any justice in it, whether you've just waited parked there for 2 minutes and the motor is still running. As a breach of contract, it says it clearly, you don't pass there, that's the charge, it's done. Speeding ticket or whatever it is, you contracted registration number, name and address, date of birth, your person is liable. It's down there. Your person is liable, the whole thing. That's what you are liable for. Which brings me now to the next thing, is what is a person? Remember when I said you registered your children's births? Well, in commercial law, or commerce, you have to get something back. Okay, and what happens is when you register, or when your birth has been registered, a bond is created that's traded on the stock market. The reason this is traded on the stock market is because in 1929 the banks owned everything. There was a massive bankruptcy. You know, the world was all bankrupt and the bankers owned everything. So the money that used to be like this, I'll just get through this, you've seen this before. We used to have pounds like this and dollars were like this. After 1929, this, and that. And there's a difference there. This currency was printed against valuable metals. In the case of this, printed against sterling silver. After 1929, the corporations, which you assume are countries, they're not. The United Kingdom PLC is a corporation. The United States of America is a corporation. They just leave the E off it. They're estates. They're like plantations. They're areas where slaves live. When your birth is registered, you become a bonded slave. You become an asset, an employee of that corporation. That's what the term citizen means. It means employee. So your parents have given you away to a bankrupt corporation. And the bankrupt corporation then use your ability to create wealth, the sweat of your brow labour, to go to a private bank and say, how much credit can you give us on the backside of this person, what they're going to create for the rest of their life, and these slaves will. That's what this money comes from. It's called a fiat money system, and it means no thing. Nothing. It means no thing. You assume it's real, and because of your belief in it, it has value. And in order to keep you believing in it, so you give it value, you need to have it taken away from you. Hence charged, and acts and all the other stuff. So that's the currency of the corporation. Many years ago in Victorian England, you have like, I'll use this example, there was a village called Bourneville. That's where the chocolate came from, Cadbury's, and the guy was a philanthropist. And so he made his own little village up, and everybody who worked with him had their own little houses, and they had their own little shops. And nobody ever really left the village because they got up in the morning and went to work, and then they had kids, so they had their own little schools. And Bourneville had its own currency, because you worked for the company, and you stayed for the company and the corporation all that time. And your kids grew up there, and that was it. Well, welcome to the United Kingdom PLC. It's no different to Bourneville, it's just that much bigger. You work for the company. You're an employee of the corporation. It's called the United Kingdom, it might be PLC. They change the name every 50 years so they don't have to show the books in order to conceal it. Part of what happens with that corporation is you register to vote, don't you? Well, you've just given away your vote. What you vote for aren't people to represent your interests. What you're voting for is a board of directors for that corporation. For example, if you're an employee of Tesco's and they say, do you want to vote for a new CEO, or you guys on here say, oh yeah, I'll do that. It's not going to change the way Tesco's is run. And they could have some guys that say they're all into this policy and this policy and this policy, and you think you're going to get something different, but the corporate policy is always going to be the same. Nothing's going to change. It doesn't matter who you vote for, what the corporate policy is going to be consistent. It's never going to change. That's what happens when you register to vote. And they give you value. They say, if you don't register to vote, you don't get on the electoral roll, you may be charged £1,000 if you don't register your vote. So you go, but register now. They frighten you into it, because it's based on fear. It's all based on fear. So you register your vote, so you've given it all up. So you're kind of caught in this corporate cycle, which brings me to the next kind of aspect of this, because what I wanted to do is help, because what happens is basically you think, if that guy said that and that and that, well, that means that, and you begin to see what's really going on, why things work. Everything's a corporation. Your council is a corporation. Your councillors.
Can I just ask you just the notion of person again? So
right, okay, person.
Yeah, please.
The person, as defined in Black's Law Dictionary, is a legal fiction. Okay. A human being, Hugh actually means serpent. So it could be serpent man if you want, some people would say that. And here's quite an interesting one I found out the other day. British. Who reckons they're British? Anybody speak Hebrew? Right, Brit, what's Brit?
Covenant.
Ish?
Is what?
Man. Covenant man. That's what British means, covenant man. And what's the covenant? Your person. You're contracted to the corporation.
Well, it's the covenant with the church.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm trying to do an oversimplification here so people can see, but I don't want to get taken. I don't want to get taken off course. We can speak about this afterwards, because I just need to keep the because I'd love to hear what you've got to say.
Right.
Thank you. So, what we think, or our assumptions are, what we haven't even questioned, are generally not the case. So if I say, like, I'm an Englishman, I quite like being an Englishman because I've got certain rights there. The reason I've got certain rights as an Englishman is because Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II swore on her coronation oath in 1973.
Not necessarily as an Englishman. We got rights as a man.
Yeah. Can I just move on, please?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Am I not to disturb
Sorry.
there? Thank you.
It's all right. I'll have a word with you afterwards, mate. Okay. So.